Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today I'm finally going to make and taste poutine. Poutine has been suggested to me since I started this channel way back when I was living in Japan. I actually received a packet of gravy, but I could not for the life of me find fresh cheese curds, so I never made it. I mentioned it in a video recently, and lovely Elise actually sent me the components to make a homemade poutine. She did not send me the fries, but she did send me the cheese curds, which I think really are the star of this show, the poutine show. Now, if you're not familiar with poutine, it is a dish that comes from the eastern part of Canada, more specifically the Quebec area, and it's composed of a plate of French fries that are topped with fresh cheese curds and a bunch of rich brown gravy. And it is eaten immediately. It is much loved, and if you go to the Quebec area, you can find many different variations on the basic one that I just mentioned of the cheese curds, gravy, and French fries. From what I gathered, poutine became popular in the 1950s, and the name is said to be something like pudding, a kind of French Canadian derivation of the word pudding, although there's no absolute confirmation on that. But today I'm super excited to actually be tasting this. So big thanks to Elise for taking the time and expense to send me all the things that I need to make a homemade poutine. And on that note, I should clarify, I'm not going to be making a from scratch version of poutine. I'm going to be using the gravies that Elise sent me, the cheese curds she sent me. Also for the French fries, I'm not going to be making them from scratch either. I'm going to be deep frying frozen French fries, which Elise tells me is totally fine. In fact, when you go to most poutine joints, bars, pubs, you get them in a styrofoam container and you eat them immediately. And if you want a homemade version, from scratch version, you can check out Babish, you can check out Joshua Wiseman, you can check out Chef John. I'll put links below to all of their recipes. But in some respects, I feel like I'm making kind of the real life version of homemade poutine. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to talk about are the cheese curds. And I have them here. I've been letting them sit at room temperature because I want the cheese curds to get nice and melty when I pour the hot gravy on top. So I've taken them out of the fridge so they can kind of warm up a little bit. And this is Saint Albert cheese curds. And Elise tells me these are the ones that you must use. And let me pour some out so you can see what they are. So I'll pour them in a bowl so you can see. Let me separate the chunks a little bit. They have a great fresh milk flavor to them, salty, and a delightful squeaky texture when you bite into them. So the last time I had fresh cheese curds was when I was at the Minnesota State Fair a few years ago, and those cheese curds tasted a little bit different than these. These definitely have more of a cheddary flavor, a little bit more deeper flavor than just kind of a fresh milk flavor. The squeak is delightful. Absolutely delicious. Alrighty, so we've got our cheese curds, set those aside. And over here, I've got some peanut oil heating up to 375 degrees, where I'm gonna fry my French fries. Let's talk a little bit about gravy. Now, this traditionally is topped with a brown, rich gravy. Now, Elise sent me two versions of gravy. This is the Saint Hubert poutine gravy. This comes in a can, and apparently this is a rotisserie chicken place that people really love going to, and they must really love the sauce too, because you can buy it just like this. So I'm going to pour this into a pot and warm that up. And this is another gravy that Elise sent me, and this is a powdered form, and this one she says she prefers, and this is just clubhouse gravy. You mix it with 1 cup of water, whisk it up, and then heat it until it's boily and bubbly, and you've got an instant brown gravy sauce. Of course, you can make your own gravy using vegetables that have been roasted and beef if you like, but this suits my purpose just right. All right, so we are almost at temp. So right here, I've got a deep cast iron pot here, and I'm getting my peanut oil up to 375 degrees. I have a baking pan with a rack lined with a bit of paper to absorb excess oil, and I'm going to be using my little ladle here to unfry them. I'm using frozen French fries. I'm using ones that are a little bit fatter, as suggested by Elise, not too thin, kind of a steak cut, we might call those. And not exactly home fries, but a little bit fatter, if you will. So 349, we're getting there. Once we get to 375, we're going to pop these in. I love using a probe thermometer when I am deep fat frying because then I know precisely when the oil is up to temperature. It will beep and let me know, Emmy, I'm ready, please fry. And so I'm not constantly like looking at the thermometer to make sure that the temperature is correct. Really, really handy when you're doing really specific types of frying where you don't want to overcook or undercook. Deep frying is dangerous. Make sure when you add oil to your pot not to fill it above halfway, because when you add your food to your hot oil, it will cause some displacement and everything will rise and bubble up, and that could be pretty dangerous. Oh wait, sorry, 375, here we are. Okay, all right, we're up to temp. Now I'm gonna add my fries, here we go. Gently. At this temperature, it should just take about 3 or 5 minutes to get the French fries nice and golden. And I'm gonna do these in a couple batches so that I can try both gravies. Alrighty, looking pretty good so far. So if you were to make these from scratch, you would take your potatoes, cut them up into French fries sticks, soak them in plenty of water and rinse them to get a lot of the starch out. And then you would pat them really, really dry. And then you would fry them once at 325 degrees until the potatoes are cooked, drain them, cool them, and then fry them again at about 375 to get them nice and crispy. Double fry, they say. So we're almost done with this batch. Doing them this way, of course, saves you a ton of time because these French fries have been pre-cooked a bit already. Not to mention that they've already been cut and all that good stuff. All right, look at that. Beautiful. Drain them onto a rack. And immediately salt them with salt. Okay. Wait for our oil to get up to temperature again. Nibble on those delicious hot French fries. Oh, God. I love French fries. This is up to temp again. And I'm going to do another batch about the same size. So, again, so I can compare the two gravies. Alrighty, lovelies, we are back and ready to plate. We have hot, freshly fried French fries. I've rewarmed my gravies so that they're piping hot. And now we're going to do a little taste test comparison between the two gravies. First, we've got to get ourselves some fries. So, mound of French fries. Maddie Matheson says that we're supposed to put some cheese curds in between the layers of French fries. Now, he's not from Quebec, but that's what he recommends, and that sounds like a good plan to me. I think that way everybody gets a little bit, and then we put some more French fries on top, like that. Okay, so we have French fries and cheese curds, looking good already. So for the gray plate, I will put the Saint-Hubert canned gravy right on top. Here we go. Right over top. Ooh. Yep. And Elise says it needs to pool onto the plate. Make sure you get the cheese curds so they get melty. Now we're going to do the same thing with the brown house gravy. I'm going to try to get a nice little shot for you here. This gravy is darker in color. All right, my lovelies, we have to eat this immediately while there is some residual crispness left in our French fries. Let's taste the Saint-Huberts first. This is the one that comes from the rotisserie chicken joint. Alrighty, let's get a bite with everything. Got a cheese curd, got plenty of gravy, and fries. Here we go. Little bite with everything. Okay, itadakimasu. Very, very hearty. Salty and hearty. Mm-hmm. Mm. The cheese gets pleasantly soft, yet it's squeaky, so there's still a bit of firmness and it just kind of rubs against your teeth. It has that great mild cheddar flavor. The gravy is very salty, but kind of binds everything together. And then you've got a canvas of French fries, which are buttery and potatoey. But I think I put a little bit too much gravy because this is really salty. Mm-hmm. The gravy is thick and smooth, has a meaty flavor to it, and lots of celery. I notice a lot of celery flavor in there. But yeah, not half bad. I love the squeakiness that happens inside of your head. It's like someone's taking an eraser to your molars. It sounds terrible, but it's not. Okay, now let's compare that with the Clubhouse brown sauce. Now this one has a darker color to it, equally lovely and smothered. Let's give this one a taste. French fry, cheese. Here we go. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Not surprisingly, the gravies are different. This one is savory as well and meaty, but this one tastes a little bit more familiar in a kind of beef bouillon-y way. Kind of like beef instant ramen noodles. It has that kind of background beefy flavor to it. Of the two, I think I actually prefer this one, which is the Clubhouse brown sauce, to the Saint-Hubert. I was surprised also that the Saint-Hubert doesn't taste canned at all. I was expecting it to have kind of a tinny flavor, but it doesn't. So one of the things I find curious about this meal is the fact that one of the beauties of a French fry, taking a potato and cooking it in lots of oil, is that crispness that develops on the edges of the French fry. And once you douse it with gravy, that crispness is lost, but you still have that richness from being cooked in fat, oil. So this becomes a smothered kind of potato and gravy dish without there being necessarily any big chunks of meat. I think this is a great dish to stretch things out. Although there is plenty of cheese in here, lots of dairy, so there is some protein. I think what works for me is the texture of the squeaky cheese along with the soft potatoes. You just, in my mind, can't think of them so much as French fries, because I think of ketchup dipping French fries, crispy, and a burger. This is more of a kind of potato casserole dish than a French fry dish. And when I reframe it that way, I'm no longer disappointed by the fact that the French fries are soggy. It's just a potato, cheese, and gravy dish. That's quite stick to your ribs, hearty, and good. Finally, my lovelies, there you have it, my very first taste of poutine. I cannot wait to travel and get to Quebec sometime, I hope in the near future, to actually have these on a snowy, cold, cold day, because I think that's another reason why this would be even more beloved, because you're having a hot, steamy plate of French fries and cheese curds when it's really cold outside. Something about that contrast of just temperatures makes this even more lovely. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching, and big thanks again to Elise for sending me all the fixings, and I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends, follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!